Hello everyone, this is Suneve, and I'm coming to you with Experiment, a Jeff the Killer X Reader by ThePerfectBlur. We're going to get started with Chapter 24. I reached my room, slamming my door shut and stumbling over to the bedside table, seeing if there was anything in the drawer, anything at all I could use as a strap for my mask, but there was nothing. I searched the entire room and didn't find a thing. Groaning, I slumped down on the bed, laying on my back as I tossed my half mask to the floor, to which it fell near the door. Why can't everything ever go right, I say. I sighed, closing my eyes, laying still as a tear dribbled slowly down my cheek, dripping onto the bed. Jeff's POV. You know I can't do that. Besides, you don't get an opinion after ignoring me for days. Lion snaps before storming out of the room, leaving me alone. I was furious. How could she speak to me in such a way, especially after what she's put me through? I'm gonna kill that son of a bitch. Leaving Sally's room, I follow Ryan's distant footsteps and movements, trying my best not to get distracted by someone else. Finally, reaching her room, I could hear her rummaging about before it all stops. I was about to barge in, but I paused, slowly removing my hand from the door handle and sighing deeply. What had gotten into me? I feel like I've gone soft. No, that's impossible. I can't have gone soft. No, it is not true. I have not gone soft. I'll fucking prove it. Lifting my leg, I forced my foot right into the door, causing the wood around the lock to snap and break away. The door swinging open, storming in, I head right over to YN, who sat shocked on her bed, breathing quickly. Without thinking twice, I grab her throat and push her back against the bed, pinning her down, my knees either side of her waist. I glare angrily at her stunned face with wide eyes as she tries to process what was happening. I couldn't get over it. The fact that she's staring at me with both eyes, both of them, two eyes, two. But she can only see me through one, just one eye. I can't stand it. How dare she make me feel sorry for her? I should just fucking kill you and get it over with, I growl, tightening my grip around her throat, to which she responds by raising her eyebrows and clamping her hands around my wrists. What are you talking about, Jeff? Don't fucking say my name. Every time you talk, I can't get your stupid voice out of my head. So much anger, so much hatred. I hated her, but I hated myself for hating her. I couldn't bring myself to say I like her, but then I would be lying if I said I didn't. I hate the fact you can't feel pain. I want you to feel your skin bruise as I squeeze your throat tighter and tighter. How am I meant to kill you if I don't have the pleasure of hearing your screams? I didn't understand. She has no escape, and she knows I always carry a knife. Yet she's not putting up a fight like she did in the woods. Why isn't she trying to get away? Why aren't you fighting me? Why won't you resist? I snarl, lifting her by her neck before slamming her back down against the bed, to which she gasps at my actions, but still makes no effort to get off me. Or better yet, she makes no effort to try and kill me. These last few days, all I had been doing was being lost in thought, thinking of her power. Our class as kids, the teacher, her eye, her blindness, her just thinking about her. I despise you. You have no idea what you have done and what you have caused. Jeff, I can help. I don't want your fucking help, I yell, shaking her vigorously before letting go and standing off of her, making my way to the door, but she follows too, grabbing my shoulder, to which I instantly react and spinning around, grabbing her and pinning her against the wall, holding her there tightly, her eyes shooting from left to right as she looks at both of my eyes, her blind eye following the same direction as her seeing eye, useless and fucking pathetic. Reader's POV. I couldn't understand why he had gotten so angry and full of hate all of a sudden. For the past few days, he's been ignoring me. So why is he now so full of rage? I tried looking deep into his eyes, trying to understand what he's feeling or trying not to feel. Stop doing that. Stop doing that, he yells, removing one hand from my throat and forcing it against my face, covering my eyes, leaving me in total blackness. Jeff. I was interrupted, but not by his other hand or by him speaking or yelling or anything like that. I couldn't quite tell what it was at first. It felt warm and comforting, and I didn't want to stop, whatever it was. Although it doesn't take long for me to click what was happening, and Jeff pushes me harder against the wall as he forces himself closer, and as he does, the presence that interrupted me became closer and harder. And I finally realized what he was doing. He was kissing me. Chapter 25. Jeff was kissing me, but why? He was just yelling about wanting to kill me, acting so angry and full of hatred, yet he's kissing me. What is he doing? Better yet, what am I doing? I'm not pushing away, and I'm not trying to get away from him. Am I even kissing back? Or am I just letting it happen until he stops? So, although I couldn't tell what type of kiss it was, passionate, lust, anger, sorrow, it seemed to be so mixed. However, it didn't take me long to realize the more I stood there letting him kiss me, the more I felt myself begin to kiss back, and I felt myself lean into it more, pushing myself closer to him. I just couldn't stop, but what does that mean? Do I find Jeff attractive? Do I like him? I mean, he's scary looking, but in a way, so am I. When I think about it, he's had it worse off than I have, and he's so confident to show his face, and I think that's beautiful and amazing. I'm almost jealous of how he doesn't hide who he is. Whatever the case was, I needed to sort myself out. What was I going to do after this? What is Jeff going to do? Will he talk to me again or go back to ignoring me? Suddenly, we're interrupted by a voice seeming somewhat angry. Slender wants to see you now. Jeff instantly pulls away and steps back, the both of us turning to the broken door to see Candy Pop standing there. I never would have thought it was him. He had no accent and sounded so blunt and rude, almost like EJ. I said now, he yells, staring at me as his arm shoots out down the hall, hiding the left side of my face as I run past him. I quickly make my way to Slender. Jeff's POV. What the fuck do you think you were doing? Candy Pop growls. As soon as she was far enough away, groaning, I raised my hands and rubbed the back of my neck harshly. I don't know. It's got nothing to do with you anyway, clown. C squints his eyes as he grinds his teeth, stepping closer. He was quite a bit taller than me, similar to EJ, so of course he stood over me. Watch your mouth, Jeff, though your toughness is just an act. What would you know, always putting on that fake accent to sound so sweet and innocent? My accent is to fool my targets, makes them easier to kill, it's an advantage. You, however, have no advantage. Plus, you're growing soft. I saw you barge in here last time you came out within seconds with blood on your knife. You can't sleep with the maid. His eyes lock dead on me as he glares right at me angrily. Fuck you, Candy, and as for the maid, I am not sleeping with her. No, of course not, just her face, right? Speaking of which, her face is more fucked up than yours. He chuckles evilly, yelling furiously. I yank out my knife, forcing it against C's neck as I pin him to the wall, his face plastered with a smirk. Shut up. Candy laughs, to which I adjust my grip on the knife handle and push it a little harder to his flesh. You've gone soft, Jeff. You would have killed me by now, and you know it. He winks, slapping my arm away and pushing me back. Word gets around, Jeff, and if I were you, I'd stay away from the maid. He chuckles, walking over to the door before turning back to me, his serious face altering into that of a cheerful expression with a smile, returning to his accent. Take some friendly advice now, you hear? He giggles before walking away, his footsteps getting quieter and quieter into the distance. Fuck. Reader's POV, Chapter 26. I finally reached Slender's office room after being ordered by Candy Pop to come here. It was weird how he changed from bubbly and cheerful to this rude and somewhat menacing way. Taking a deep breath, I raised my hand, clutching my fingers into a tight fist before banging against the tall wooden door. Waiting for Slender's order to enter, but there was nothing, complete silence. Okay. Taking yet another deep breath, I knock on the door again a little harder and louder, but there was still no reply. Was this a setup? I groan, rolling my eyes, spinning on my heels to head back to my room, but as soon as I'm facing the other way, I freeze. I was no longer inside the mansion, but I was in the forest outside, a dark part of the forest I hadn't seen before. It was eerie and full of fog, and I could hear the foxes yowling creepily in the distance, the owls hooting as they hide in the dark, their piercing bright eyes shining from within the trees. Hello? I call, taking a few steps forward in whatever direction I was facing. I could turn in circles for days and it would all look the same. I could get lost just from standing in this one spot. As I continue to try and look around, I suddenly hear the sound of a twig snap behind me, causing me to jump and spring around to face the source. It was so dark I could barely see a thing, and all I see were two red glowing eyes staring right at me. Hello, who's... I stop myself once I see Ben step out from the shadows. I breathe a sigh of relief to calm my nerves. Oh, Ben, thank goodness it's only you. I thought it might have been that monster that attacked me. However, Ben doesn't answer. He just stands there, motionless, staring at me with his blood-red eyes. A sly smirk plasters his face as a quiet chuckle escapes his lips. Ben, why are you... I wouldn't worry too much about why Ben is here. A voice spoke behind me. Interrupting my question, turning around, I see Candy Pop standing there, along with EJ and a few others. The monochrome clown, a man with a white mask, and a man with golden glowing eyes who appear to have gray skin. He was just here as we needed a way to get you out here, so we teleported you here. Candy smiles, taking a step forward, gesturing to the others to do the same. I don't understand. Why am I out here? I watch as Candy gives a nod to the golden-eyed man, to which he stretches out his arms and hands, and long golden-like threads flow out from his fingers and begin to form a large circle around me. Enough space to move around, but not to get away. You see, Ben here went on a little mission of our own, instructed by me, of course. He saw you killed your parents and overheard every conversation you had with Jeff. You are not normal, are you? You are one of us. He steps, gesturing his arms out to the others standing around, before looking at me and bursting out laughing, his bells jingling as his body shakes with his movements. Slender was thinking of making you part of the team, one of us, a member of the family. His voice started to grow low and angry as he spoke, his eyes and stance becoming very hostile. You'll never be one of us, puppeteer. As soon as he spoke the man's name, the golden thread suddenly wrapped around my body tightly, trapping me like an animal caught in barbed wire. Blood dripping from under each thread as it tightly pierced the skin wherever it wrapped on my body, and from the shoulders all the way down to my feet, destroying any bandages or brace I had left for supporting my bones. Candy, Ben, EJ, and the monochrome clown and the other masked man started to surround me, and Puppeteer was chuckling as he tightened his threads, causing more bleeding. The son of a bitch can't feel pain, the masked man spat. Yes, Masky, I think we have all established that by now, EJ growled, slapping Masky on the back of the head and causing the monochromatic to chuckle lowly. I look at each of the six men separately, one by one, trying to figure out what they wanted or what they were trying to do. I think it's time this bitch got a chance to see what real pain feels like. Candy laughs, slowly pulling out a glass vial from his pocket and gently swishing it back and forth as the liquid sloshes around inside. He storms over, grabbing my chin and forcing my mouth open, snapping my head back. Now open wide. Chapter 27. Candy grabs my jaw and squeezes, trying to pry my mouth open as I lock it shut, refusing to open just for him to pour whatever liquid it was into my mouth. I doubt it was anything good, but I wasn't going to take that risk anyway by keeping my mouth closed. Open your mouth, Candy growls as his face frowns, grinding his teeth as he squeezes harder. Beginning to pull on my lower jaw, trying to pry it open, but I refuse it, shaking my head vigorously to loosen his grip. EJ, head, he orders with an aggressive snap. EJ tisks and moves to stand behind me, clasping his hands tightly either side of my head, holding me still so that I can no longer shake my head away. Puppeteer, tighten your strings. He nods with a giggle, doing as Candy says. I feel the golden threads tighten around my body before feeling the sensation of a liquid dripping down my body wherever the strings lay. They must be breaking the skin, causing me to bleed. Now, I won't say it again. Open your mouth. He pauses, pulling my jaw down with each word before yanking it open. I desperately try to close it and shake my head, but their grip was extremely tight and strong, and I couldn't move an inch. Hold still. He chuckles, pouring the cold and somewhat sour liquid down my throat, causing me to gag on its taste. EJ and Candy back away to watch me, and Masky and Puppeteer are also watching, the strings remaining on my body. Swallow it. Candy snarls lowly. Half of it had already been swallowed when I gagged, but I still had some in my mouth, and I could easily spit it out. Why should I listen to them and swallow it? Then again, they're all murdering maniacs that could easily kill me. I said, swallow it, he yells, storming over to me, yanking my head back harshly by my hair and clamping his hand over my mouth to stop me from spitting it out. I could see the burning fire of rage in his big bright eyes as they stare at me with anger and hatred. Sighing deeply, I swallowed the liquid. Candy smiles evilly, letting me go and taking a step back with the others. Nothing happened, nothing felt different or changed, they just stood and watched me. I couldn't see EJ's or Masky's expression, simply due to their masks, but I could see LJ's and Puppeteer's and Candy's. Candy had a wicked smile on his face like he was pleased with himself, and LJ and Puppeteer looked surprised but still evil. That worked like a treat. LJ chuckled, nudging Candy with his elbow. Of course it did, it was one of my own creations. Candy smirked, seeming full of himself, showing off about his work and what he had done, but I didn't feel any different. Puppeteer, let her go. The glowing golden-eyed man nodded with a smile, releasing me from his tight threads, to which they retreat back into his fingers, disappearing without a trace. Cut lines left all over my body, right up to my neck down to my ankle. You're free to go, Candy smiled, stepping aside and gesturing behind him. What did he mean, free to go? What was the point in this? I take a few steps forward, walking past them, but keeping my eyes on them at all times, but none of them were doing anything. They were just staring at me, smiling as I walked past. I assume EJ and Masking were smiling, but all of them appear to be laughing. Once past them, I make a run for it, bolting into the trees, only to hear the five of them laughing menacingly behind me, fading into the distance. Luckily, it doesn't take me too long to find the mansion. I questioned why I even went back. I could run away and be free, but something in me pulled me back, and if I were to leave, I would want to say goodbye to Jeff first. Running through the halls, I call for Jeff, but receive no answer. So I go to his room, barging through the door, storming in. Jeff, he wasn't there. Sighing, I walk over to his bed, feeling his pillow. It was cold and plump, like he hadn't slept in it. What the fuck? A voice growls behind me. Spinning around, I see Jeff standing at the door to his room with a knife in his hand. His stance was aggressive and threatening, almost as if he was ready to attack. Jeff, what's the matter? I'm suddenly interrupted as he yells, charging in, swinging his knife at me, slicing down my arm and managed to dodge around him, but I still got a few scratches. Jeff, what are you... Who are you and how the fuck did you get here? He yells, charging at me once more. I make a run for it, rushing down the halls, ducking into the TV room, slamming the door, and panting heavily. Jeff bangs harshly against the door, but I hold it shut with all my might. Eventually, the banging stops. Sighing deeply to calm myself, I let go of the door and turn around, only to gasp and slam back against the door in shock. Jeff, Toby, Clockwork, and Sadie all stood angrily before me, weapons in their hands. How did Jeff get in? What's wrong with you guys? I quickly gasp and duck down as Clockwork throws a knife in my direction. It hits the door with a thud right in the spot where my forehead would have been, and I quickly turn around to leave, but the doors were suddenly locked. But no! Tugging harshly on the handles, I suddenly gasp as an arm is wrapped around my neck, yanking me back as my heels drag on the floor. The body I was pressed against twitched violently, and I could only guess that was Toby. But my guess was right when Sadie, CW, and Jeff stand in front of me. How did you find this place? Sadie asks, almost making it seem like an order that I had to answer. What are you talking about? It's me. Answer the question, CW yells, Toby tightening his grip around my throat as he shouts. Guys, it's me, YN, the maid? Jeff, please, why are you doing this? Jeff storms over, grabbing my jaw and yanking my head closer to him, making it hard to breathe as my throat presses harder on Toby's arm. YN is dead. I found her body in the bathroom. No, Jeff, that wasn't me. I'm me. It's me. Please, you have to trust me. I'm not dead. You sick fuck, he yells, raising his knife above my head. That is the end of those two chapters. The chapter after that is chapter 28. Let me know what you guys think. First chapter, I feel like I've rushed through it a little bit, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!